Guys, Ira Coleman here, the founder of Fluent Hustle. We are a community that believes in empowering, promoting, and inspiring entrepreneurs through the stories of other entrepreneurs like my man Reed Silverman, the owner of Monstr. We are live on set here in his warehouse. Super excited to listen to this gentleman's journey, his story, how he got into business. He took a one-way ticket flight from New York?
Yeah, I'm from New York originally. Yeah.
From New York to Colorado to follow his passion in snowboarding, and then eventually took on an opportunity to start a business as a sticker maker that paid for the lifestyle, his everyday expenses, and then flourished into an amazing business that he has going on right now, which we're going to learn a lot about. Let's talk about like who you are, where you're from. Sure. I mean, obviously your passion is snowboarding and fashion and style, and just rocking the swag overall. But like, where did you get to that point where you're in New York and you're like, I want to go out to Colorado? Obviously, it was a snowboard, but what was that? What was that changing factor of your lifestyle change?
Well, it was something. By the way, thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely. But hey, this is Reed's first time doing a Facebook
first time
Live.
Ever. I'm an old fart. Anyway, I'm a typical New Yorker. I love that I'm on this show right now because hustle was the name of the game for me. Growing up in an underprivileged family, we didn't have a lot growing up, so I had to make my own way. I was the youngest of three, and I had my first job at 11 years old. Been working hard ever since. Had to pay for everything that I wanted as a kid,
right?
And that really gave me the drive and motivation and hustle and entrepreneurial spirit that I have today. And looking back, being resentful for growing up that way was one thing, but now looking back, I'm like,
there's no other way to have it.
I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Like, that made me who I am. I'm definitely a product of my environment. So,
right.
Fast forward, I was a Wall Street broker for 4.5 years.
Wow.
I was a snowboarder since I was 15, a skier since I was 12. New York, Vermont, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, all those places. Yeah. And I just had a passion for outdoor recreation, sports. I was very athletic, but my main focus in life was money. Like, that's all I really cared about. How do I make money?
Right.
Doesn't matter what I have to do. And
was that because your back was against the wall when you were younger, and you were just trying to make that change?
Yeah, always back against the wall. I feel like my whole life has been back against the wall decisions. But so got into the brokerage game, did very well doing that. I got into that when I was 19. Left, everything that made me really good as a stockbroker made me, all my personality flaws made me a really good stockbroker. Or what some people would consider personality flaws, like just being money hungry, unethical, this, that. It was a very backstabby, dirty business. And, one day I'm looking in a boardroom of a sea of brokers. There's about 100 of us in the room, and I'm just looking at guys, doing it 10, 15 years longer than me, and I saw who I was going to be.
Oh, wow.
If I would have stayed doing it, kept doing it, I was good at it, but I was.
You're like, this is not my future.
Yeah. I had insomnia. I had no friends. My family hated me. I was an arrogant prick. Mm-hmm. I was just like the epitome of what you think that guy would be.
Sure.
And I'm just like, man, is this what my life is going to look like? I'm going to turn 24 years old because I got in the game early.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
I want something different for my life. So. And I had a passion for snowboarding. And, basically I quit my job. I bought a one-way ticket to Colorado. Never been here before. I heard that, it was
you came out here blind.
I came out here blind. No friends, no family, no job, no place to live.
Yeah.
I gave away most of my stuff. I had a checked bag and, a job interview set up to work as a ski instructor, snowboard instructor at Vail Resorts. That was it.
Wow.
I just heard if you're going to do this, you want to go out west.
Yeah.
You want to go to Colorado. Because I was going to pick Vermont because it's close to home. And thank good. I mean, everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. But, that's how I ended up here.
Man, that's...
yeah.
I mean, the fact that you realize when you're young that, you're in a career that wasn't suited for you in the long run, and you followed your passion. You're like, you know what? If there's one time to change it, that was the time to change it. 24, 25 years old.
Well, I got no family, no wife. I mean, no kids. I didn't have debt. I didn't have certain,
nothing holding you down.
And this is one of the things I tell kids. I talk to elementary schools, high school kids, college kids. They do tours around Monstr. I go to their auditorium to do talks, and I'm like, follow your dream, follow your passion. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do this because you're from here. You don't have these resources. Do it while you're young.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck in that, that society says you have to go through the timeline of life. You have to go through the motions of life. Make mistakes when you're young. Go travel the world. Go get 20 internships. Go get a job doing 20 things that you don't even know if you like it.
And fail at it.
And fail. And that's the biggest thing that I talk to these kids about is, you have to know what you don't want to do to narrow down what you do want to do. And so when people are like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, how do you know? Give it a try. This is like my 6th career. And how I knew and how I was so confident that this is what I wanted to do is because I tried so many other things.
And realized what you didn't want to do.
And realized what I didn't want to do.
Right.
And I think people kind of forget that step.
So how long were you out in Vail and being a snowboard instructor? And what did that lifestyle teach
awesome.
you?
It was so much fun. Again, I had a goal when I moved here, and that goal was not to take a job solely based on how much money I was going to make.
Yeah.
So when I became a snowboard instructor, it was great. I had so much fun. I allowed myself to just be free, reset, recharge, try different things, meet new people. And what that did was it bought me time. Because I didn't know how long it was going to take for me to feel so much more, to feel passionate about something that I would give my 200% to, dive into, make that commitment. And, we can talk about what it takes to be a small business owner.
Yeah, we'll get that in a little bit.
We'll get to that. But, it took me to just let go of what the outcome was going to be. Everyone's so worried. How am I going to make money? Where am I going to live? How am I going to take care of this?
You kept on chasing all of that.
And I was chasing things. Instead of chasing everything, I just let life be.
Yeah.
And I stopped worrying about the outcome, and all these doors started opening because of just, it allowed me to be me and just be happy. And that was it.
And that's most important. I mean, the fact that you could be yourself, be authentic, find that happiness that you were missing out on. And then it seemed like you were able to then, your bucket of fulfillment increased significantly.
Yeah.
Waking up and, getting out there and just hitting the slopes whenever you wanted to. And
every day was a good day. No matter how bad of a day it was, I'm just like, I'm getting paid to snowboard.
Yeah.
How bad can that be?
And I can tell you, there's a lot of people here in Colorado that would love to have that opportunity.
I had my sponsors.
Were you competitive?
I wasn't competing. I did some video production stuff with a crew out of Breckenridge.
Okay.
I was a coach at Mount Hood for 10 summers, so I was here in the winter, Oregon in the summer, working on Mount Hood. And that's a good segue into how I got into the business, because that's how I got into the business.
Who was that on Mount Hood?
Mount Hood. I was head coach at Wendell's for 3 years. So, and then I was the high school team coach for the Aspen snowboard team. Then I went on to coach the CU snowboard team. We won 2 national champs.
Wow.
And, that's it, just snowboarding, following my passion and my dream of snowboarding opened doors to business.
Are you still out there snowboarding today?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I still get out there.
Good.
I still get out
It's
there.
not as often, though.
I mean, not really that so much this season. We don't know how good this season was, right?
Yeah, it was a little dry up there.
A little dry.
I didn't go once. Not one time I make it out to go out to snowboarding. And,
I've actually been surfing a lot more.
Have you?
Yeah, surfing a lot more these days.
Well, that's even more fun. You get a chance to get out of Colorado, right?
Yeah.
There's not many oceans or lakes around here to do that. So.
No, I gotta travel.
So, this research on you, and the community loves you, Reed. I mean, people love who you are.
I love this community.
And what
Thank you guys for supporting us all these years.
and what you've become. And I remember when I moved from Chicago to Denver about a year and a half ago. And thank you. And I saw your work all over Denver, and I was like, who the heck are these guys? And just being observant, and then recently, being at the Common Design Champa when they had the outdoor convention.
Outdoor retailer, SIA Snow Show.
Yeah. So that was at the convention. You guys had a setup over the Common Design Champa, and I was just like, wow, like they're just more than just a graphic design and print shop. Like you guys are a full-on brand to help other brands out, and I really picked up on that. And some of the major clients that you've gained throughout the years, and the cool stuff that you're doing and what you have going on. But it all started from stickers.
It sure did. It sure did. I mean, that's as basic as you can get, right? But and I'm glad you brought up the brand part, because my industry is so traditional and so old school, and what shops like mine traditionally do is help other people build brands, but they never really utilize the tools, resources, our design team, all the machines we have, the materials to build their own brand identity.
Yes.
And that's something that that was my goal, to set out to build my own artistic lifestyle brand and to make what we do sexy. No one has ever made this industry sexy before,
right,
and hot and cool and artistic and creative. And I am the self-proclaimed pioneer of making the print and printing industry, rap industry sexy.
Yeah.
Right. But yes, it all started.
I mean, even your
stickers,
even your van. I mean, like you see that black van, around town when you guys are working on your projects and stuff like that. I mean, it screams badass.
Thank you. But through snowboarding, so I'm working at Wendell's. As much as we made money as snowboarders, it wasn't nearly enough. I had to find a supplemental income. I'm a business guy who happens to like to be super creative, has a tendency to, just want to explore my creative juices. So I'm working at camp, and that's where I learned how to use vinyl plotters and rip software, and work with materials and wrap vans. We have all these camp sponsors, and the action sports industry is very brand identity heavy.
100%.
So all the vans were branded, all the cabins were branded. Everywhere there's always things to make. So I just volunteered to help make all this stuff, and started wrapping vans and cabin walls.
And what was the reason that you decided to volunteer to do this? What was it?
It was just really interesting to me. Like, it was creative, it was fun. I like working with my hands. I like making things.
Yeah.
I just like making things.
Right.
It is I guess as plainly as I can put it. And it was just fun. And that goes back to why I left New York. Only do things because it makes you happy and it's fun and you enjoy it. You have a passion for it, and if you use that formula, America, you will be successful no matter what. Just do what you love, and the money will come.
Yes.
And follow that formula, and this is where it got me.
And it feels like you're never working a day in your life.
I don't know about that. If you gotta work, you might as well do something that you love.
100%,
right?
man. I can definitely appreciate that. And recently, with the career change and transition, right now what I'm doing is what I love the most. Is like meeting with people like you and allowing you to inspire the entrepreneurial community, so that way they can step up and get out of their comfort zone, or if they're fighting through that complacency, is shift things up a little bit. And then if they love what they're doing but they're not having fun, like find a way to make that more fun. And that just makes you wake up ready to go to take on the challenges you have coming ahead, because it's never easy running a business, and we're going to talk about that. And trials and tribulations.
It only gets harder. Like I thought, like as the years went on, as the business got bigger, more employees, more gross revenue, like all these great things, bigger reputation. I thought it would get easier. Like, it's going to get bigger, it's going to get easier. It doesn't. It doesn't get easier.
Just get more fires to put out.
Just got more fires to put out, more challenges, more risk, more at stake, because now you've built something and you have more to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it goes back to my point. That's why you guys really have to love what you do. Because if you don't have like this fire, this passion, this love, you won't be able to withstand the storm.
Right.
You won't do whatever it takes and go through the trials and tribulations. Like, it is going to become just a daunting task instead of, waking up every day being like, all right, these are our challenges. How am I going to face them with a positive attitude?
Yes. Yes, PMA.
Positive mental attitude. That's right. PMA all day.
It's crucial. It is crucial. PMA is the ABC, right?
Yeah. Always be closing.
Do you still have your first sticker machine?
I do. I mean, it's not functioning, but it's a good reminder of where I came from. It's I think reflection is really important. Like, I let just how overwhelming all this is sometimes get to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, reflecting on where you came from, my childhood, what risk I took to get here, how I got here, the motivation, the self-discipline, the sacrifice, the commitment, that whatever it takes attitude, like, and what level of commitment those things mean to me.
Yeah.
So I look at that, I look at other things, just other reminders of, that reflection of how I got here. And, so that's why I keep that thing around.
Good.
It makes you really appreciate and put things into perspective, that everything's going to be okay.
So how did Ink Monstr get started, and how did you decide to drop off the E?
You're asking the tough questions. Ink Monstr got started. Well, again, I was looking for a supplemental income, needed more money, and I wanted to make a business out of my hobby, snowboarding and vinyl printing.
Yeah.
So, the first summer when I left Wendell's, that next winter going into Aspen, it was the first year I moved to Aspen. I couldn't afford to live in Aspen, and I'm trying to start a business at the same time.
Man.
So I flew back to New York, bought a van. My stepdad and I gutted it, made it livable. My whole family's scratching their head like, what the heck are you doing? Like, this is nuts. You're moving into your van? you're doing this to do what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm making a sacrifice. I'm going to live in my van, save money, and try and start this business. And
how humbling is that?
When I have my mind set on something, it's like a subway train without brakes, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no stopping me. So, and that's the attitude, you guys got to take if you want to start a business, relentless. And that's what I did, and living in your car in Aspen is highly frowned upon. I figured it out. I kind of lived in that van for about a year and a half, close to 2 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
It was a year solid, and then
sporadically
here and there until I could find a place to set up shop, found an apartment, turned that living room into a shop. And really from then on, it was just utilizing my snow industry, ski industry, snowboard industry contacts to... I solicited everybody to start making some money and start working with me.
Yeah.
And so that's how Ink Monstr was born.
Is that the same van that you got today, or
no? I donated that van to charity, but that was a tough. Talk about
letting go
a piece of the history.
Yeah.
It was a tough thing to do, but and then as far as the name goes, a friend of mine actually had the name out. He was a screen printer, and he wasn't using it. He wasn't screen printing, and I had gone through like 7 names in the course of like a year and a half trying to figure out what that name was, what the logo was going to be. Even then I realized how important that is. It's everything. It's your identity. And instead of being like Denver Print Shop or Colorado Print Shop or just base 5280 print, whatever like the generic names were going to be, I wanted to be different from the rest of my industry.
Right.
I wanted to be creative, and ink, we print using ink, right? And I'm just a horror flick fan.
Okay.
Everything monster oriented and like scary movies. I was just super into monsters, right? And things of that nature.
What movie comes to mind right now?
So, House of a Thousand Corpses is my favorite. Is my favorite scary movie. You know.
I'm gonna go to Blockbuster this weekend and get and rent that.
And there's a lot of monsters in that movie, man. I'll tell you what. But Ink Monster, and we're the biggest, the best. We're the monster. Like the name, that dual meaning, of what Ink Monster can be perceived as, right? I wanted to be the monster of my industry.
So at the beginning, I talked about you've created and built a brand, and right now, thinking about how you went through 7 different renditions of names and logos, but then coming to a brand that's beyond Colorado, beyond Denver, beyond the 5280.
Right?
Like now, you're able to take this to a national presence and position yourself with other big brand names. That's got to be important.
It's really important, and again, you have to look at the big picture. And it's not like I reinvented the wheel here, people. I just made what the action sports world is doing, the beverage world is doing, the eyewear companies, all these companies that are very just brand awareness, activation heavy, visually heavy with their branding. I just made what they're doing applicable to a business that it's never been done to before. Mm-hmm. Like I said, they make, energy drink companies super sexy. They make eyewear companies super sexy. All these different things. And no one made, graphic design, printing, and installations hot and sexy and cool and artistic and creative.
Right.
And there was this void in the market that just didn't exist. And I'm like this. That's the thing. You just know when you know it's right.
Yeah.
You have that feel. You feel it, and you're just like, no hesitation.
Yeah.
All in.
What was your biggest struggle in your first year? That you're living at your van. You're up in Aspen. The community, the people that are judging you. All the haters that kind of come along with with an idea that because you're disrupting the industry, right? At that time, and obviously today as well. But what was your biggest struggle early on? That was blindsided. And perhaps even derailed your whole business.
I mean, there's lots of struggles to this business. It's such a unique business. And some of the struggles I had back then are still very relevant to the struggles I have today.
Okay.
When you're a small business owner, cash flow is always... Okay, so, one thing that is something that I preach to new startups is debt versus equity.
Yeah.
Everyone needs startup capital. Are you going to fund it yourself? Or are you going to take loans out? Or are you going to give away equity?
Right.
And everybody these days, you guys all want to just give up your company. You want to just throw away all the equity to get investors involved. And
all this fundraising, giving away
all
equity.
This, and for some businesses that is absolutely what you should do. But I think you guys really need to evaluate if that's the right step, because there are so many other financing options available. I'm always a huge advocate for taking on debt. Mm-hmm. Because if you believe in yourself, you believe in your idea, you believe in your work ethic, your motivation, your tolerance to commit and sacrifice and risk, then you shouldn't be giving away your company.
Yeah.
If you're all in,
it's all you.
Then, and one thing about taking on debt is it does put your back against the wall, and more people are more likely to succeed when they put themselves in that situation. So capital was a big thing. I needed equipment, I needed software, I needed machines, I needed materials, inventory. I was working up to 3 other jobs
just to keep this one
keep this one afloat. So I was funding myself through the 3 other jobs I had, and just letting it grow organically based on cash flow.
Yeah.
Not overextending myself. Always keeping myself in a position where if business was low or sales were low, I wasn't screwed.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to go out of business because I was working 3 other jobs and then putting in the commitment to Ink Monstr, if that's what the name was that year, and then putting the commitment into Ink Monstr, starting at like 11, 12 o'clock at night till 2, 3, 4 in the morning,
right.
Getting 2 hours sleep to get to my first job at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning,
Yeah, those sacrifices, you hear a lot of people talking about, having that job, that 9 to 5 job, right? Or, working 2 or 3 different jobs. But what what are people doing for their particular business after hours? From the 9 o'clock at night till 3 o'clock in the morning, and
always on.
You either be sleeping, you either be sitting on the couch watching TV, you can be complaining about something, or you can be taking action to get that wheel turning and make it.
It's really about how bad you want it,
yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people I talk to, you guys out there. I ask these questions too because people come to me all the time and ask me, how do I start my business? How do I grow my business? And again, I don't claim to know it all. I absolutely still have a long way to go, and there's lots of people out there who know way more than me. But all I can share is my experience.
Yes.
And in my experience, people say they are willing to do whatever it takes. They think they're willing to do
until it takes.
Until, but, and then here come the buts and the excuses, and, I would do that, but I have this commitment or that commitment, or I don't want to disappoint this person or that person, or I don't want to sacrifice this or that. Well, then you're not really willing to do what it takes.
Yeah.
And what that means to people is what I try and express is, that means whatever it takes. That means sacrificing this and that and, making a full commitment.
So your van was probably 200 square feet, maybe 150 square feet.
It was actually a short van. It had enough room for a bed and a little storage unit, and that was it.
And so you go from 200 square feet, let's say, right?
That's
smaller.
Being generous.
Yeah, being generous. So how many square feet is your warehouse today?
10,000 square feet.
It's
a $1 million facility.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here you have, right now we're sitting in the apparel showroom, which we'll talk about here in a moment.
Yeah.
But when you first walk in, you built a team around you in your company, and you have your graphic designers, you have your sewers, you have your print,
production people,
production
installers.
So, what can you give about creating a team of having the good people around you, and who was there early on to help you get to this point today?
Well, the first 4 years it was me. I did the accounts receivable, accounts payable, design, print, install, event production. I was a one-man show. And I got my first employee. Your team is your most important thing. And you always hear people say that finding good help is the hardest thing these days,
sure.
Right? Finding qualified people who care, people who have good work ethic and positive attitude, and whatever it takes attitude. But that's the hardest part. I would say, you asked me before, what are some challenges that you had then, and what are the challenges that you have now? And that is one of the biggest challenges that I face, is finding a good team. Now, and especially for what we do, there's not really a school for this.
Yeah.
There isn't formal education. There's design school, but not how your graphic design translates to real-world application for print production and vinyl installations.
Right.
There's no category for that,
yeah.
right? So I got to train everybody in-house. But, as a business owner, I have to make sure that I'm smart enough to know what I don't know.
I like that.
And you have to swallow your pride.
Yep.
You can't be the guy who's like, don't tell me what to do. This is my business. That guy or girl isn't going to last long.
No, not at all.
You got to surround yourself with people who are better than you.
And you're asking them, hey, what can we do better?
Tell me what I don't know. Tell me what I could be doing better. I have some of the best graphic designers in the city. I have some of the best print production people in the country. Some of the best installers in the country. Our private label apparel manufacturing, we have some of the best fabrics and seamstresses, right? And, I'm not the best at all of that stuff, but I'm good at I look for work ethic, positive attitude, like what kind of person am I hiring?
Yes.
I'll hire a certain type of individual before I hire somebody who might be way better than them, technically or skill-wise, because
the other person's coachable, you can work with them, and
there's certain things you can't teach people.
Yeah.
And that's work ethic and positive attitude and some of these other, characteristics that make up a good person and a good employee.
Right.
I can teach them the rest of the business, and that's all coachable, like you said. So yeah, that's and that gets harder and harder these days.
Of everything that might be going on within your business, what do you love? Like, where do you thrive the most? And where do you feel like you try and be hands off as much as possible because you're not good at it?
Where do I try and be? Well, I'm not in the sew shop, that's for sure. Although I do spend some time in there helping out. I help out where I can.
Yeah, once it's sewn up, you start folding and get out of there,
I'm a good folder. I'm an awesome folder. That's it. It's a good question. Because I try and have my hand in everything. I'm the creative director. I work with the salespeople. I'm training production people.
And you should, because this way you know what's going on and you can have a competent conversation.
I'm not a hands-off business owner.
Yeah.
I got my finger on the pulse of everything that's happening here. But I'm not the best at all of this stuff.
Sure.
But I have the real-world experience and business knowledge and creative direction.
Where do you thrive the most? If there's 100%, if there's one thing you can do every single day.
Building the brand identity.
Yeah.
Knowing the direction I want to take the company, focusing on the short, intermediate, long-term game plan of the company, how we're going to reach our goals. We have meetings constantly on where we want to be a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and already implementing and taking steps to get there.
Yeah.
We're not waiting and being reactive. We want to be proactive.
Yes.
We want to, get on it ahead of time and not find ourselves in a situation where, now we're here. What do we do?
Right. So let's talk about the goals now, right? A year
scaling the company, yeah.
So what are you working on right now? In our backdrop here, we have your apparel, aspect of the business. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what else you have going on, within Monstr that people might not be aware of, and what can your audience, our audience, and your customers expect from you and Monstr moving forward.
Sure. Well, right now, we've been working a long time, the past 3 or 4 years, on just the structure of the company. So, because we started to grow, and it doesn't matter what stage of the game your company is in, you're always going to have growing pains.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're not growing if you don't have growing pains, right? So, there's always going to be that. But, we spent a lot of time the past couple of years, 2-3 years, working on the structure of the foundation, so when we scale, we're ready for that growth, and we're here. So, 3 years ago, I started working on launching the apparel manufacturing department of our business.
Okay.
It was kind of a easy path to entry for us because we do digital printing, and dye sublimation is a form of digital printing. Instead of printing on vinyl, we're printing on fabric.
Sure.
And most of my industry does that for trade show booth stuff, soft signage, and instead of just trying to directly compete with some of the largest people in the country, some of them are here in Denver, who do a lot of nationwide stuff in this space. Well, I can go after that 400-pound gorilla, or I can make my own niche, carve out my own, little sector for what people aren't doing, which is cut and sew apparel manufacturing. So, I thought it'd be easy. I thought 6 months in, we'd be rocking and rolling. We'd be manufacturing like crazy. We're 3 years in right now. So everything takes time, guys. Don't give up.
Plan for that.
Plan for that. The printing part was easy. I sourced all my own fine fabrics and high quality fabrics. I even helped develop a few. Because I was working with factories. I'm like, no, this isn't... Look, we want quality, you know, and this is what we're trying to do. So I helped develop several fabrics. So that part, you know, we developed all our own patterns. A pattern is a fit. You know, it's like your template for cut and sew. So we developed all our own patterns. That took a year and a half to get right.
Wow.
You know, and 3 years in, we're still tweaking those patterns, making our fits perfect. But, you know, finding talented, quality production seamstresses was the hardest thing on earth.
Sure.
That especially here. I mean, we're not in California. You know, there's a reason why that's the hub for private label, you know, apparel manufacturing, cut and sew apparel manufacturing. But there's a huge demand for that here. There are so many brands here, and not just in Colorado, surrounding, you know, in the Colorado states, the Midwest, West Coast, like everything is, you know, people want American-made goods.
Yeah.
You know, they want, you know, fair trade, locally sourced, 100% made in America.
And reasonably priced.
And that's the tough part. So until you guys start buying more and more from your local resources, that's how we get our prices down.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why overseas is so cheap, because of the volume that they do. So, you know, support your local manufacturers, and the more you support your local manufacturers, the better we can do on the pricing.
Right.
So, and we're getting to that point now where, you know, 2 years.
But then again, your quality. I mean, I was touching.
But you have to pay for the quality.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
the quality is top notch as well.
So we you know, our number one private label manufactured product is leggings, right? We make the best high quality leggings in Colorado, 100%.
And we got a sample right here.
We got some samples. We just happen to have some samples readily available, but
I mean,
you know, high quality fabrics, high quality construction. It's quality goods. So, and we designed the program for small to mid-sized businesses. You know, you're going to China for your 3,000, 5,000 piece orders. You know, maybe you're going to California for that stuff. You know, we designed our program and our pricing for your 50 piece to 1,000 piece orders.
Yeah.
You know, that's really where we're specializing in right now.
That's cool.
You know, you want to do, you know, 500 pair of leggings a month, we're your spot for sure. So, but we're doing all activewear, hoodies, t-shirts, racerbacks for women. We have some tank tops in the background, but so yeah, now 3 years later, we're finally starting to gain some momentum, and now people are searching us out for, you know, this private label apparel manufacturing. So it's just you know, what's the evolution of your business? Do you want to just be happy with where you're at? I could have just plateaued, you know, 3-4 years ago and be like, we got a great graphic design team. You know, we're doing all your wraps, walls, windows, floors, vehicles, trade show. You know, we're doing a lot more residential decor. We're doing tons of commercial decor these days, and I could have been happy with that. But you know, what are you passionate about? It all goes back to what do you want to do. So we had to evaluate, well, what do my employees want? What are they happy doing? What am I happy doing?
Yeah.
What makes us passionate about what we do? Which is creativity and, you know, aligning with our artistic goals.
Right.
Our artistic goals, right? But I said, what do we want to do, guys? You know,
are your employees a major factor in understanding, you know, where they're happiest at to be here, to continue to be creative and get those?
It's a great question.
Productions.
I would say yes and no. It's still a job.
Yeah.
And, you know, we employ a lot of creatives, and we have this, which is what I built, this artistic, creative, you know, lifestyle brand identity.
Yeah.
And that attracts a certain type of person and a certain type of employee. But, you know, it's hard to keep everybody happy all the time, because we still got to do, you know, we probably are managing, you know, 100 to 150 projects at a time.
Wow.
Thousands of clients.
Mm-hmm.
We have tons of internal stuff that we're constantly doing. You know, our art show, Sticky Situation, look out for that in October. Our charity event, Denver Days, look out for that in August. Just our building wraps we're putting up everywhere, that's all designed internally.
Yeah.
You know, our own apparel designs. So there's so much going on. So that's why I say yes and no. Yes, because they want to be creative all the time, but at the same time, we're still classified as a manufacturer.
Yeah.
And when you manufacture, time is money. Efficiencies. Just everything's got to get done right the first time. We got to be fast. We got to be quality. We have this level of standards that are just higher than our competition.
Yeah.
So, to have creatives in this manufacturing setting is tricky.
It is. I bet it is.
It's super tricky. So
you got the creators are they're moving outside the norm, which is what you want them to do. But then you got the manufacturing side, which is very regimented and processes in place and time efficiency and
Like, I understand you want to spend an extra 16 hours on that design to make it perfect, but I need it done in 4. Because the customer's banging down our door, and we got like 27 other projects we got to put you on.
Yeah.
So that's why I have to find and that's one of my roles. That's why I still do the interviewing. I still hand select every single person on my team.
Good for you.
Because it definitely takes a special type of person to work here. But guess what? I mean, and there's no way to say this without sounding arrogant or cocky, but that's why we're the most award-winning print shop in this state.
And you are.
One of the most in the country. We've been winning awards every year since 2012, if not multiple ones. Which I'm blessed and honored, and I appreciate. Denver, without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So, thank you very much, and that's why we give back to the community so much, because we understand where we came from.
Let's talk about Denver Days. It's coming out August 4th, and it's supposed to help support sunny Sun Valley.
Sun Valley,
so
yes.
Sun Valley, which is the community that you guys are in.
Yes.
Let's talk about Denver Days and what has this been about?
So Denver Days is a mayor's initiative to incentivize neighborhoods to do block parties. It's a get out and meet your neighbor kind of thing. So it started, I think, 5 years ago. I'm not really sure when it started. I know this is our 4th year doing our Denver Days. And, Denver, if you guys know Ink Monstr, the art shows we did for the past 7-8 years, Sticky Situation, all the crazy wild pool parties I've done. We're trucking in 150 tons of sand into Exto Event Center. All the concerts, Redman, Method Man, Aesop Ferg, Ghostface Killer, we've done Del the Funky Homo Sapien, the Beat Nuts, the list goes on. So we used to throw all these wild parties, is my point. That was my way of helping build our brand identity, right? And having a good time.
Yeah.
We had a good time. But what was that really doing? Yeah, that was getting our name out and building the brand identity, but we weren't really, and everything was free, so we were giving back to the community. It was free admission, free drinks, free giveaways, we didn't make any money on those events. Regardless of what anybody thinks, we didn't make a dime in 10 years off of events. Mm-hmm. But, when I moved to this neighborhood, so I bought this building, we're in this brand new, beautiful facility, and it's in one of the poorest neighborhoods in Denver, one of the most underserved neighborhoods in Denver, and 70% kids under the age of 17 or 17 and under. So, when I heard that, the mayor had this initiative called Denver Days, it was one of my employees, now wife, who said, hey, you guys are, you're really good at event production. Why don't you do this? Yeah. And I looked into what it was, and just like I said before, when you know that it's right, without hesitation, I was like, that's it. This is our opportunity to truly give back to our community. And now that I bought this place, and this is our home now for
a long while,
the foreseeable future, a long while, I want to help, I immediately just started just diving into the community.
Good.
And being heavily involved in the community. I'm on every single board. I was president of my neighborhood organization. I'm just in it. I just fully engulfed what this neighborhood needed. And so Denver Days, what do? We put on a block party. It's August 4th. please go to our website, inkmonster.com. We have a GoFundMe, and what we do is raise backpacks, school supplies, socks, underwear, toiletries, all these things that these kids don't have the resources for. They don't have, the opportunity to get a lot of these things. And we want them to be prepared. We want them to go back to school with pencils and pens and calculators and rulers and, whatever it is, backpacks, sneakers, socks, underwear, And I know there's a lot of backpack drives during this time, but that's because there's a lot of kids in need.
Yeah.
If there weren't still kids in need, then, there wouldn't be all these backpack drives going on consistently every year. So this is our 4th year doing it. First year, we gave away 200 bikes, couple, 100 backpacks. Fast forward to last year, we gave away 1,400 backpacks filled with school supplies.
Wow.
Sneakers, we're giving away Nikes, we're giving away headphones, from Jammy Pack. If you guys are familiar with Jammy Pack, it's a Colorado-based company. They were gracious at giving away tons of headphones and Jammy Packs. We got Pepsi on board. Meow Wolf is on board this year. Ramos Law has been a huge contributor to our event. And it's just getting the community involved, So we throw a block party. We put on, a shout to all the people who really, really helped this thing make it what it is. And there's live music, there's entertainment, there's activation. So it's just really, really great.
It's a whole experience.
It's a whole experience. It's something that these kids and this neighborhood just have never had the opportunity to experience because nobody really cared before that, no one made the effort to bring this to the neighborhood.
Good for you, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to share that, and I can tell you're very passionate about that project and Fluent Hustle in the community. And anyone that watches this video, please go to the website, support them, spread the word. If you can't donate, you can always take a moment just to voice the opportunity to make a difference from Sun Valley here in Denver as well. So
yeah, even just sharing, the event. We don't have an event page started yet. The event's not till August, but we're raising money now. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you can't donate, somebody can.
Yep.
And it's all about getting the word out. If that's anything we've learned this day and age, is spreading the word is important. And when things go viral, great things happen.
That's
It's
right.
very, very powerful. Platform that we have these days, the internet. So
speaking of word, and you said a lot of words here in this interview, let's talk about the words that you can give to entrepreneurs, to employees who might want to become an entrepreneur, but they're reluctant. I mean, what advice comes to mind? And you give a lot of advice already, but what advice comes to mind as we end this segment with you that we can utilize to inspire those individuals who need it?
And I've touched on it a little bit. And I'll tell you guys what I tell 4th graders, and I tell high school kids and college kids. What do you love? What do you love to do? In this day and age, you can absolutely make a living doing anything, literally anything. There was a time in life where. Let's take artists, for example. I remember talking to my parents. Artists couldn't make a living.
Yeah.
Now, some of the most successful people I know are artists.
Yeah.
So you can literally make a living doing anything these days. If you love what you do, you will make money doing it. Now, how fast that happens, that's the part that people have a tendency to be short-sighted with. Things take time. Not everything happens as fast as you want it. I gave you an example just a few minutes ago of that. So that's why you got to love it, because you don't know if it can take 3 months. You don't know if it can take 3 years. You don't know if it can take 10 years. But you got to stick with it. People want to work with you if they see that passion, that fire, that desire to be successful.